Okay, this one's a bit more advanced. So I'm not expecting everyone to do this. This is just something that you might find useful. And it's the automatically updating table or virtual layer. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just rename some of these layers here, because on the virtual layer we have to type these in, and the names are a bit unwieldy. So what I'm going to do, the phase 1 polygon, because it's got all this other stuff at the beginning, I'm just going to take all of this out. So the test thing, that can all go. I'm just going to have phase 1 polygon. So I'm just making it a bit shorter, just to make life easier. To create a virtual layer, we go to Layer, Create Layer, and New Virtual Layer. And I'm going to call this one my baseline area. So if we're doing something like a BNG calculation, this would be our baseline before we start doing development, and it would give us our nice calculations for the areas of the different habitats. So we've got our habitats recorded, we've got our areas that are automatically calculated using that template. So in the query here, we're going to type in something special that will allow us to calculate this. So we're going to go select, because we want this layer to choose everything. We are going to select, what are we going to select? We're going to select the habitat. And you've noticed I've put quotation marks, double quotation marks around that. So double quotation marks will choose either a layer or a column in an attributes table. Single quotation marks like that are text. So we're not going to use them in this particular example. We're just using the double quotation marks. So we're selecting habitat, and we're also doing some maths. We are summing up the area. Now notice the area hasn't got those quotation marks around it, because if it does, the sum function doesn't work. So the reason, and if you have a look at my naming conventions thing on the wiki tutorials thing on Teams, automatically calculated things like area are written with a small a, and this is why, because if you have area in there, it doesn't like it sometimes. So small a seems to work problem free most times. So my calculated ones like length, area, those are all with lowercase. It's confusing, I know. I apologise for that. So we're selecting the habitat, and we are summing the area. So we're adding it all up from, and then this is which layer we're going to take it from. And this is why I just renamed it, because I don't want to type in all that nonsense. So it's phase 1 polygon. And again, this is in those double quotations. And we're going to group by habitat. So what this is going to do, it's going to select the habitat. It's going to sum up the area from this particular table, and it's going to group it by this column here. So all of the arable is going to be grouped together, all of the SI is going to be grouped together, and it's going to sum up the area of those things, those different groups. I'm going to test it just to make sure it's working. No error, good. And I'm going to go on geometry before I close it, and I'm going to go no geometry, because all this is a data table. If I leave it on auto detect, it's going to be unhappy because it's looking for a geometry column. It's looking for, where's the information about the shape of this feature? There isn't a shape, it's just some calculations. So it's no geometry. And we're going to go add. And we've got this new column here, this new layer called baseline. And there is our two habitats. So if I just pop this, let's pop that there. Whoop. That has not scaled nicely. Put you over there like that. And if we add in another polygon, so let's put in another little arable here and save it. This one will update, there we go. And if it hasn't done, you can press the little reload and that'll just load it again. So I could do another habitat here. Let's do some broadleaf woodland. Refresh, and there's our broadleaf woodland. So that automatically adds in any new areas you've added, and if you change the size of one, so let's increase the size of the broadleaf. Huge bit of broadleaf, there we go. And refresh, it's updated accordingly. So that's quite useful. It does take a bit more fiddling, especially if you've created your own layers with different names. Yeah, takes a bit of looking at. But with the tutorial one, that's the formula. I'll put it on screen again now. So it's select habitat, comma, some area from phase 1 polygon, and you're grouping it by the habitat. I hope that's helpful.